الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Broadcasting live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Sole provider with Shekul and Friends. Good evening, Malaysia. Good evening, Kuala Lumpur, Ampang, Tawau, Kota Kinabalu, Kuching. Good evening, Canada, Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver. Good evening, Indonesia, Jakarta, Surabaya, Medan, Aceh, Makassar, Samarinda, Bencoolen. Good evening, China, Beijing, Shanghai, and Wuhan. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And we will begin tonight's session with the recitation of Al-Quran. I shall begin with Surah Al-Asr, which talks about time. It is believed that whoever recites these verses will be given the reminder and would be always be mindful of time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم. Good evening, everybody. My name is Amir Bahari, and I am from BNI Ampang. What is BNI? BNI, or Business Network International, is a marketing system whereby it promotes words of mouth marketing. If you'd like to know more about BNI, you're most welcome to visit us at BNI Ampang in Kuala Lumpur. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I feel very much honored and blessed with the presence of two very what we call the leaders. They are leaders in their field. They are the what's the word they call it? Thought. They will lead you. They will influence you. They'll be able to move you with their passion. Okay. And tonight, I have the honor of introducing you to my guest, and my first guest tonight is Coach Dave Rogers. Coach, let's say hello to everybody.
Greetings, and it's a fantastic opportunity to be here with you today, Amir. It's great to see you, and thank you so much for your team and the people who've put this together, and I'm really, really honored to be here with you today.
Well, the pleasure is ours, Dave. I mean, I know, where are you broadcasting from?
Outside of Toronto, a lovely place called Brampton, and it's a place where my parents moved to from our birthplace in Mississauga, and now they're enjoying their elderly years, and it's just been a great opportunity to spend time with them and be in Ontario, Canada, and experiencing a whole new life after being away for 33 years.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Blessings to you, Dave.
Thank
Blessings to
you.
you. And our next guest for tonight is Deb Mabry. Deb, can you please say hello to our audience tonight?
Hello, everybody from Canada. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to our discussion. I posted on my Facebook that I would be speaking to somebody from Malaysia and how things change. What a great opportunity. And the internet is a wonderful tool to connect and make new friends around the world. So thank you for having me here today.
Welcome, welcome, and warm greetings from Malaysia. Deb, may I know what time is there in Canada?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Here in Malaysia is 9 p.m. Okay, cool. And tonight, I would like to give space and opportunity for all our guests to introduce themselves. So you'll be given 120 seconds BNI style, okay, to share with us your name, your company, business, and the referral that you're looking for. Dave, is it okay if you go first?
Much.
Sorry. Okay, you ready?
Wow, again. Thank you so
Okay,
very much.
Dave, 2 minutes. The floor is yours. Over to
All
you.
right. These days, an elderly caregiver, a grief coach, somebody who is putting together 35 years of business into ways to serve people who might be going through some challenging times, whether that is depression or anger management, loss, fear, especially inflicted by many of the challenges that have been upon us over the last 6 months. These days, social entrepreneurship is still my number one priority. And that really is part of the topic today. Business pivots with purpose and passion. And something that I absolutely love about business and entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship is that we look for ways to influence and uplift people with purpose and passion, be protective and nurturing to the planet, and look for opportunities to contribute in meaningful ways. So Dave Rogers, Coach Dave Rogers, the brand that I'm playing with these days is Continual Shift. Please check out YouTube at Continual Shift. Make shift happen, because in life, shift happens. And so that is something that I'm really passionate about these days, assisting and working collaboratively with communicators, teachers, healers to assist people on the journey. And by doing that, particularly with a blend of compassion, healing, and magic, miracles occur.
Wow, Dave, very nice sharing. We'll still got 1 minute, Dave. Now tell me, Dave.
I haven't
Is
been
it
doing a 2-minute pitch lately. I've been brought down to 1 minute, so I try to keep it as short and
okay,
sharp.
Dave?
Yes, sir.
Okay, from the no, I find that you are very good with words. I mean, words have power, and your words really touches. You're really passionate and emotional, emotive words. I mean, I know, right? Is it by design? I mean, did you really plan it that way, or is it something that you really you connected to?
Well, I actually would say that as a student of coaching, a student of words, and now a new student of elderly care, if I'm trying to use a bunch of words that I used when I was in my 20s or 30s and talk to my elderly and my parents like I was as a teenager, I wouldn't be having very much happiness or effect in life. And so, in many ways, it is about me evolving and allowing words to be one of the ways that focuses me, allows me to connect at a deeper level. So, yes, I'm a student of words and student of questions. And then, as a writer, as an author, it allows a reflection and then to have a conversation. So to be somebody who stepped through fear of public speaking, to find ways to let go of fear, to embrace fear and let it go. We're transformed. Joseph Campbell, the very famous author and study and student of mythology, talks about this in The Hero's Journey, which I love to make the Shiro's journey, or even right now, the COVID journey. It's a journey of going from known to unknown, to be able to go through problems and perils and even go into the pit, that pit where we have to change to get out of it. And often by going through the challenges, which right now could be financial, they could be physical, they could be spiritual, we can develop a new awareness and relationships with special powers. And I'm finding as an elderly caregiver that special power is compassion, patience, curiosity. And so if that can help any of our friends today to try it on, like a new jacket, try it on and see if a new approach, letting go of what you see yourself as, because you're evolving, we're changing, especially if we do it with elegance and grace and gratitude. And so those words might sound like out of a script book, yet that's coming, I believe, from the energy of my heart. And seeing your face and seeing Deb's face, that allows me to feel blessed. And it truly is a blessing to be here with you and some of our visitors on Facebook and some of our friends who might be listening to us from Vegas or listening to us and adding a comment and maybe even putting your word in there of the way you're feeling or the question you might have. Because that's what's beautiful about technology is we truly can connect here, and some people can take a word and it might change their life. And I think that's one of the things that Deb also as an author, somebody who's assisted people to make shifts through words. Because sometimes the word can be the easiest thing to change, yet maybe you don't believe it. And so there is an idea there, whatever the mind can conceive and you can believe, you can achieve. And I believe that's from Napoleon Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Dave, I've got a song for you, Dave.
Yes, sir.
It's only words, and words is all I have to take your heart away. If there's any man who can pull it off, it must be Dave Rogers.
Well, you're the singing lawyer to me. I talk about you. That's one of the brands you've had for over a decade. When I talk about Amir in Malaysia, it's the singing lawyer. And you do that because, my friend, with that laughter is the healing laughter. That is the laughter of pure joy. And I love that about you. And maybe in a future, again, Deb and I are also working in the music healing modalities. Because Deb's also a musician. Maybe we'll do a little hymn a little later, because sharing people inner voice to heal so the outer voice can shine. Let's explore that.
Bro, you got it, bro. By the way, I take my hat off for you, Dave. Okay.
And it looks like you've been doing a lot of praying, my friend, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about you also.
This is just cupping. I had I had a hypertension. So the first thing that came to my mind is to do bloodletting. So I actually had to use some needle and take out the blood. But it helps. And Dave, I'm looking forward to the tonight's session. And our second guest tonight is Deb Mabry. Deb, 2 minutes for you. Take us away. No. Take our breath away.
Another beautiful song. Well, it's always interesting when you follow someone who is so articulate and passionate, and one can be intimidated and one can be lifted. And I'm fortunate that I fall into the second category. So I recently pivoted. You speak about entrepreneurship. I think I've been an entrepreneur since I was about 10 years old, delivering papers, babysitting, do it, whatever was possible to earn a little bit of money to support my dreams and what I wanted in life. So I learned that very early. So I recently pivoted. I was in a business for 30 years as a graphic artist, self-taught. And as much as I enjoyed that over time, what I discovered is that it didn't fulfill a deeper passion or calling, which I was very fortunate enough to nurture over time, because I could leave the business and I would travel around the world. And that's where I met Dave, actually, is in Singapore. Actually, it was in Indonesia, and then we flew to Singapore. And so the passion that I have largely around entrepreneurship is ancient. I pivoted from that job into a private practice spiritual psychotherapist. So one of my loves has always been, like Dave, around words and the impact that words have on people's life is about the deepest route that you can discover. And the way people talk to each other either lifts them and inspires them, or it pulls them down into a lot of different challenges. So I'm very passionate about mental health. And I believe that all physical symptoms, everything, I had set my timer and that's 2 minutes or to 1 minute. It's a warning. That's
Okay,
hilarious.
Deb, go.
Let me
No,
turn
no,
that up.
no,
Dismiss.
okay, yeah.
That's
Take
funny.
our breath away.
When we
Take our
go
breath
with the
away.
flow, this is what happens. Anyways, I'm very passionate about people's mental health and connection with each other.
Wow, thank you, Deb. Thank you so much. And then I've got a song for you, Deb.
Yes.
The part of the traveling part really caught me. It's a song of our generation. Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree? I've traveled the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. So you found something, Deb?
Absolutely. I went full circle. In 1988, I graduated from the university here called York University, and I spent 4 years to achieve my honors BA in psychology. And I did a placement at the end of that 4 years at a mental health facility, and it was beyond where I was at that time. And I decided to take a break and decide whether I wanted to pursue a master's or if I wanted to do something else. And in that pursuit of just taking the time to see what I wanted, I ended up in the graphic artist business. And then 5 years ago, when that business was winding down and I knew that I needed to pivot, I decided, and I had a calling to go back to school. I was accepted for a master's, and I ultimately turned down the master's, and I went to a school here called the Transformational Arts College. And I decided to be a spiritual psychotherapist. And that is taking me right back to even a teenager and being the listener, being so intrigued by people's stories and how they got to where they were and how their words created their reality. And I'm still fascinated with that to this day.
Wow, fantastic, Deb. Fantastic. That's another 1 minute going.
I know, it's hilarious. I hit
You must
this.
have pressed the repeat button. It's okay. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Throw this away.
No, don't. Please don't. We live with
Timing
technology.
doesn't work.
Okay, Sharina might join us later. She may not be, but I'm open to it. Now, allow me to introduce myself, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amir Bahari. I'm a partner of a legal firm called Bahari and Bahari. I specialize in divorce laws. I specialize in the area of love. On weekends, on Saturday, Sunday, I help my clients to fall in love. Why? Because I'm a marriage course instructor, and it's very obvious to spot a person who are lovers because they have jelly necks and jelly knees. If you don't believe me, you can just go to the cinema when they reopen and you can see what I mean. Yeah, sometimes in Malaysia we only have the body, the neck, the head goes missing. Yeah, on Monday to Friday, my job changed. I help clients who suffer from love breakdown, or they fall into the love trap. That means I help clients to go to court, file their documents. I help them I assist them to negotiate for their alimonies. I assist them to ask for the children's maintenance and the distribution of the what we call division of matrimonial assets. And where do lawyers come in? Well, usually lawyers come in to help the clients to negotiate, because the first rule of negotiation is never negotiate with anybody who's seen you naked. Okay, for example, who can be your parents, your father, your dad, your mom, they've seen you naked. Your spouse, they've seen you naked. And of course, scandals, they've seen you naked. So no use to negotiate. Get the lawyer in and let the lawyer do the talking. But Dave, at any point of time, I would love you to have I would love to have you as my lawyer, because you have ways with words, brother. You know how to melt a person's heart.
It's funny because, again, when you say what you just said, a lot of what I love about business is having those conversations where a deal can be co-created. And that's one of the things that I've been finding back in Canada. And it is when you're doing coaching or business negotiation, there's an element of finding a pathway that serves both sides. And it truly can be what we call a win-win-win-win-win, where each of the individuals win, each of the businesses win. And then there can be a component where even Mother Earth can win. And those are the types of deals that I call ideal deals. And it's something that I absolutely love. And in the grief coaching or the trauma therapy, there's very much about inviting people to talk to the part of themselves that was perhaps fragmented as a child with a teacher that might have traumatized them on our experience. And so one of the things that's fascinating with listening to Deb's introduction is, again, she has really taken away a lot of the old Deb and allowed this new part of Deb to be a spiritual therapist. And it made me giggle because one of my last books was about spiritual entrepreneurship. And so without even really focusing on it, we've had this come back and around from Bali to Singapore, and now we're meeting and we're now living less than 10 kilometers away from each other. So it's pretty fascinating the way that the universe conspires to bring in these opportunities that if your eyes are open and your heart's discerning, miracles can happen.
Definitely. And one thing that I find very interesting about both of you is your communication lens. It lands up straight to the heart. That's something which I find very, very interesting because it's not easy. I've seen a lot of people having a communication breakdown. Actually, not communication breakdown. I would call it communication crashes because what they communicate does not land on the heart. It lands somewhere else. Yep. That one, I must take another hat off to you and that. and on my free time between Saturday to Friday, what I do is I help my clients to write their love letters, which come in the form of wills, trust, and wills and trust. So basically, I prepare my clients to go to the other world. Before they check out from this world into the on top of the world hotel or the new world hotel. Okay, I make sure that they've got all the documents and all the affairs in order. And tonight, Dave and Deb, I have a theme song for us tonight. It's a Disney song. Can you guess? It's about the genie and the magic lamp.
Aladdin?
I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, and under, on a magic carpet ride. A whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no, or where to go, or say we're only dreaming. Okay, I shall stop there.
I feel like I should have my instrument here or something.
Before Disney sues me for wrecking the song. Okay, right. So for tonight, I would like to start the ball rolling. Okay, and I would like to put the first question to Dave. Yeah. Okay. And Dave, can you please share with us, Dave? What are you hoping to share with your audience tonight?
I'm breathing into the question is what I'm doing. I could have answered the question very quickly. I could have responded or reacted. I'm actually breathing into the question to find out what would be one or two things that might serve. And so it might be the way I'm answering the question, that you don't have to be in a hurry all the time. Again, one of the greatest lessons that I'm getting regularly in elderly care is the gift of patience, the gift of breath work, to break up the old patterns, the old behaviors, the old ways that I used to do things, and to bring in and infuse compassion. And so what's fascinating when we're here on a talk about business pivots with purpose and passion, my invitation would be to look to do things differently. And that what you used to do might not be what you're called to do now. And so that's can be challenging, because somebody who's had a business for 20 years and you're going to walk away from that business, well, they could say to me, Dave, a lot easier to say than to do. Well, I respect that, and I bring a alternative perspective to it. And that's why I find it fascinating that you're sitting here talking to a spiritual therapist and a spiritual entrepreneur. And when you use the word spirit, it comes down to breath. And so if our listeners today have never done breath work, I'm inviting them to explore breath work. You certainly can contact Deb or myself, and we will assist or serve you in breath work. Yet I also have this beautiful phrase, is shift your belief about grief. And that if you are grieving a loss right now, and it might be a loss of something like your 40s, like you're going to be 50 and you're actually feeling you're losing your 40s, or you're a teenager and you're moving to 20 and you're no longer a teenager and you're feeling grief. Well, guess what? My invitation is for you to be a student of grief and see how grief is actually a really important process in our evolution. And I love that. And I guess you can hear it. Like, this is my enthusiasm of living today and knowing that today is going to offer me some opportunities that, guess what? If I'm present, there's going to be miracles today. And it already is. Like, for us to be talking to you here from Canada to Malaysia, it's a miracle. And I thank you for that.
Hey, I echo that, Dave. I echo that. I resonate to that. Okay, and okay, was that your answer? Sorry.
My answer is yes, a sharing of like business pivots with purpose and passion. Be aware of your words. Be aware that grief is part of the process. Learn to release and let go. And these are things that perhaps are easier to say. Yet, guess what? With a little practice, you don't necessarily get perfect, yet you make progress. And so our program here is about being able to engage. If anyone's got questions, we really do welcome your questions, and we'll infuse it into some of our answers. And also hearing your wonderful questions from Malaysia, inviting Deb to give views on ideas. That's a beautiful creation of flow, which again, if you can find your flow and you become a student of flow, you're going to have a pretty awesome life.
Right, cool. Yeah, I find those words very catchy. A student of grief, a student of flow, which reminds me about an author which says that you change your life by changing your question. You become a learner instead of a judger. I should be a learner than a judger. I should be asking more questions than to make assumptions or to presume things. And okay, Dave, just share with me a bit more. Is the focus about starting a business, growing a business, selling a business, lifelong learning, or overcoming challenges? Where is your coming from?
My coming from is where I can add value. And so if I'm speaking to somebody right now that is looking to sell their business, because in Canada right now, with some of the effects of COVID, there are businesses that are the 60-year-old man who no longer wants to continue working 18 hours a day. So there's people that are closing businesses and are maybe even traumatized a little bit from that. Yet there also could be somebody who's thinking about starting a business and they're reading what a great life and how easy being an entrepreneur is. Well, they need to have a chat with Deb and myself. Is that entrepreneurism is like having 3 jobs and often earning less than a minimum wage. And when I came back to Canada, that is definitely so, because the minimum wage here in Canada is like $16 an hour. And 16. So if you're running a business and you have 3 employees, you have to have sales of about $50,000 to $60,000 just to pay the bills. So we're getting a restructuring of what people truly want to do, because there are also people that are starting online businesses, and from month 1, they're cash flow positive. So the world is evolving, and I guess that's where, as again, a student of technology, finding ways to apply it. So when we have an opportunity to speak to somebody and do a one-on-one, whether that's for perhaps dealing with depression, we can assist them to start making some steps. Because again, beautiful thing about our backgrounds with both Deb and I is we were both athletes, and we probably are still athletes. She rides bicycle about 100 kilometers a day. So, and I go out for my half an hour rollerblade. So, and I do yoga rollerblading, which is probably one of the weirdest things you'll ever hear. And my neighbors think I am crazy, but guess what? A guy in their close to 60 years old rollerblading doing yoga poses is something like the singing lawyer from Malaysia. So we want to honor our quirkiness, and sports and energy work is part of our wonderful blessing, gift, choice. And so that's the confusion.
I do have to honor your quirkiness. Yoga rollerblading. I'm sorry, it's just too weird.
Sun salutation on rollerblades. Doing beautiful poses, yes.
Dave, you're killing me, Dave.
Well, laughter yoga is the other part of what we do too. Is like if you laugh like that, you will release any illness. If you're able to laugh like that for 10 to 15 minutes a day, the release of endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, it's beautiful. The oxytocin gets released, and you heal yourself, and that's a beautiful.
You know, one of the reasons, the only time that I really laugh this hard is when I'm on FB Live with all my guests. You know, I find
that's great.
It's truly very, very insightful. And for me, sometimes I see being a lawyer, sometimes I do tend to get cynical, and sometimes I do see things in a lighter vein. But I find it to be very, very interesting conversation that we're having now. Wait, now just for me to get the word right, pivot means to change. Am I correct? To change course, to be pivot. Is that what it means? To change, to change.
For me, a pivot, it doesn't mean like doing. It can be, again, a pivot can be a 360, a 360, a 360, or it could just be 1 degree. Or what's beautiful, it could be 1 word. It could be changing 1 belief. It could be infusing an extra salad in your diet. It could be saying a compliment to somebody daily. A pivot can be so minuscule. However, it can change the trajectory of our life. And I guess that's the exciting part. And if you want the reality part, is a pivot the other way can also mean a totally change in your life in a different direction. And so,
Dave.
Yes.
Sorry. Finish your sentence. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying the beautiful pivot, because if you've been through the Tony Robbins experience of firewalking, you know that that first step is the step that gets you to the end. And so the pivot to saying, I am not going to smoke anymore. I am going to be healthy. That pivot, that decision, that instantaneous neural connection can totally change the direction of your life.
So that's when a person decides to change.
Or
shall I say, to move from what is habitual and constant to something new?
It lets in some space. And this is, again, through breath work. Instead of snapping at somebody, we breathe and we smile and we laugh. Those are...
Dave, you know, I got this one lawyer, you know. When I ask him a question, what he'll do is he will start to bloom into a smile. But this is not like a cat smile. You know, a cat smile, a Cheshire cat smile, like Alice in Wonderland. And when he smiles, I know that something really big is coming. You know, somebody's gonna get hung, strung, and what's the word I use? Hung, strung, and gutted. You know, like the chicken rice in Singapore. How we sell our chicken rice? They are hung, strung, and gutted. When he give that smile, you know, but you know, it's there. Somebody's gonna get hung, strung, and gutted. But for you to breathe, okay, man, that's really a fresh air, you know.
It truly changes
Dave.
Action to a response.
Okay.
A reptilian fight, flight, or freeze to a conscious choice. To say something, to be in the moment, and to choose what comes out of our mouth. To choose to give a hug instead of a punch.
Wow.
again, elderly care is teaching me that. And it's not something that I can say in next month I'm going to be an expert at. No, it's that newness to it. It's that willingness to not be competent, to be willing to be incompetent by choice. It puts me into a vulnerable state. Yet the elevation and the activation of conversations at a new level is quite bewildering.
Dave, if you're a fruit, do you know what fruit will be, Dave?
Which fruit?
If you're born as a fruit, do you know what fruit you'll be?
Well, I believe that it would have been several fruits, because when I was a youngster, I would have been
choose one.
Yeah, okay.
Choose one.
Okay. Oh,
what fruit would you choose to be? You're talking about choice here, right? Okay.
If I'm here with you right now, the fruit
Okay.
that I would choose would be a durian.
A durian. Whoa. That's a dangerous fruit, Dave. It's a fruit of reputation.
Again,
Authority.
if there's a fruit that I would choose being here right now with you, it would be a durian.
Okay, and Dave, what fruit do you think Dave would be if he's reincarnated as a fruit?
I think Dave, for me, I see him as an orange.
And why? Why an orange? Why?
The reason being that, first of all, and this is a little corny, is that it's very sweet and juicy. It has these very clear seeds, and Dave is all about sharing, giving, connecting, being authentic, coming from his heart. And those seeds, they're in the middle, but it's so easy to just isolate them, pull them out, plant them. And also the orange, the bright color, I see him as that's a very like a lower chakra, like power, you know, all of that. And yet you peel that off and it has a very thin layer again, and it has all these sections. And all these sections are all that Dave has to offer. And each one is unique. You can sometimes you get one at a time. And sometimes Dave just comes in and it's just like bang, 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 a series of information. He's so passionate when he gets talking. And, you know, that outer coating is thick and strong as well. And Dave and I often talk about the yin yang of our characters. And it's very strong on one level and it's very delicate, you know, compassionate, empathetic on another level. So I see him as this vast array of components and opportunities to extract knowledge and sharing. And he has so many gifts to share. So Dave, you're also, and that comes from a tree, as opposed to something low to the ground. He's higher. He comes with what I'll call a light source, conscious energy, and he's going towards the sun. He's going towards the light.
Wow. Dave, why do you choose to be a durian, Dave, tonight? Why do you choose to be durian in the forum tonight?
Because I feel that.
Wait, take your breath.
I figure that you love durians.
Okay, I don't love durian. I hate durian. My wife loves durian. I'm from Penang. I'm actually from Balik Pulau, where the best durian in Malaysia is. Okay, it beats Busang King anytime.
Yes.
Okay, but I don't eat durian. I'm sorry.
What is it? I have no idea what it is.
Okay, you should come to Malaysia. Did you come to the Malaysian archipelago? Indonesia, Malaysia, durian is, what do you call that? The fighting fruit?
It does have a smell that is banned
Hotels
and hotels and families.
In aircraft.
Well, it's banned in many places. Yet, if you go out to the beach side, you'll often see families together having their durian. There's durian puffs and ice cream and different types of uses of durian. And even in Canada, we have some. If you go to the market, they've got frozen durian that are imported from Indonesia and Malaysia.
Okay,
and so
this must be catering for the Malay market there. and that if you want to make your piles of gold, you export durian to China. Oh, they're just crazy for it. Yep. That's where the pile of gold is. Now they're buying lands in Malaysia. Now people, the Chinese are buying lands in Malaysia to be cultivated with durian plantations so that they can export to China.
Good business.
It's called the king of fruits. It's Tony. But yeah, okay, Dave, why durian? Why tonight? Why durian?
Well, again, to be honest with you, you and I, actually, the three of us could have a beautiful conversation as Deb just illuminated everybody about an orange. And
you're the orange, okay. Not the annoying orange.
An orange can just be an orange, or the way that she described it, it had a lot more characteristics. So if the durian looked at as a durian, to be honest with you, I've had a lot of people just look at me and hate me. And so there's people that you're the one who used the word hate. I haven't used that word for quite a while. I will.
I did use it.
Yes, you did. You said you hate durian.
So, how many times? Only once, lah.
Well, no, you again. So it's the point is that if I know that sometimes I say things or I look a certain way, that people will automatically hate me. Guess what? That is a big part of my teenage years.
Right.
I think, again, with our background in sports, both Deb and I, we used to fight for every inch. She has training as a martial artist. And sometimes just a one little inch punch could have an incredible pack. I have had to learn to deal with people who hate me. And if you're going to be someone big these days in education or in social art, you're going to have haters. So we have both sort of learned how to deal with people who hate. And one of the ways is to actually step in through compassion and having a conversation, yet being able to do verbal Aikido, to be able to use the space effectively. And so we could go into the characteristics and qualities of a durian and have a beautiful narrative if we got beyond simply hating it. Yet there are going to be people that are simply going to hate it and they don't want to have to hear anything and they won't even have this conversation. Yet there's other people that would say, what are the comparisons between Deb's exploration of an orange and a durian? I have a feeling we would, given where Deb and I love to go with spirituality, is that there's many incredible qualities of a durian. Many of them we have to dig deep in ourselves to see what a king of fruits it could be. And since you love rhymes and riddles, the king of durian, one of the people that I study is King David. I by no means say I am King David, yet I would love to have some of the wisdom of King David.
Yep.
That weaving the narrative, which is something that Deb and I are not only doing with ourselves, we're encouraging people to take more responsibility for the narrative that they're using in their life. If you're a victim, and you've been told you're lousy and useless your whole life, well, guess what? You could change the narrative. And we're inviting you to do that.
Wow.
Especially in business, to pivot with purpose and passion. We meet people and say, I don't know my purpose. I don't know my passion. Well, guess what? Spend 5 to 6 minutes with Deb or I. You'll find a little bit of passion. You'll find a little bit of purpose. And we're not going to hold you to do it for the rest of your life. You can go and experiment and find what maybe you have more passion for, knowing that you're going to be different when you're 50 than you are when you're 40. We want to serve, uplift, encourage, not, you promised that you're going to be the same for the rest of your life, which is what's happening to people. They're stuck doing what they started at 25 and they feel they need to still be doing when they're 50. That's why a lot of people are getting sick, because they hate what they're doing. And we're inviting you step by step, breath by breath, explore, experiment, experience. Some laughter, some laughter yoga, some laughter singing, some laughter doodling as a way to bring some laughter into life.
Wow, you're just totally out of this world, Dave. And I'm actually feeling on the magic carpet ride already.
I love that song. In fact, you want to know what's funny about the song? Whenever I hear it, what happens to my eyes? They start to leak. I start to cry.
No, actually, that to me,
joy though. They're tears of connecting to being free and romance and love. And it gives me goosebumps to use those words. But guess what? That's awakening the soul. That's not fear.
Refresh.
That's beautiful. And so you started singing, my eye started twitching and a tear wanted to come out. And if it would have kept going, it would have been because of pain or pleasure. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, Dave, I've got a fruit for you, Dave. By the way, before I go into that, do you know why why David was the king spiritually?
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to tell me.
He got 99 wives, bro. Correct me if I'm wrong. From a Quranic perspective, he had 99 wives. And man, he is one.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a king, but I'll just hold my tongue a little bit here because this could be seen by people of influence.
No, just sharing. Okay, Dave, if you're the fruit, Dave, to me, okay, from the perspective, if we are the three fruits talking tonight, to me, you'd be the passion fruit. You're so zesty. Okay, in a way, can be overpowering. I mean, to eat a passion fruit requires it's an acquired taste. But once it gets to your system, you're just like, wow, you're really a magic carpet rat. I like it. I like it, Dave. King Dave. Fantastic. Okay, Deb, I got questions to you, Deb. May I? Okay. May I shift? Okay, Deb, now, may I know what inspired you to get into entrepreneurship and what was the biggest challenge for you to overcome?
Wow. Well, like I said, when I was a very young girl, I learned very quickly that if I wanted to do something or wanted to acquire something, that I was going to need to manage that myself. I grew up with a single parent, a mom, and we didn't have a lot of resources, and everything that she had, she put in to the family in terms of trying to provide for us. But there wasn't a lot of extra there. And so she would always say, yes, when I said I wanted something, but then she would say, and you can pay for it. So at a very young age, I learned the value of money, and we had a very tiny allowance. But if I wanted something, like when I wanted a bicycle, that would have taken me 2 years on allowance to save it. So I learned the power of deciding to fend for myself and having the courage to go out and ask for a job or apply for a job. And I learned that typically when I would ask for something, the answer was yes. So I learned how to get over the fear of not trying. And so my first entrepreneur job would have been like picking cherries and then teaching guitar lessons, actually, your passion of music there. I wasn't that far ahead from my students, but I always managed to stay a few steps ahead. And that's what a leader needs to do, or a coach needs to do. You just need to be a little bit beyond and always be a seeker of new knowledge. So I would learn and learn, and then learn what the student wanted and how I could serve them. And then the next week I would come back with that knowledge that I had practiced. And then the next thing that I did over the years was in the beginning of 20s. And that's when my business started. My business was called Dredell Promotions. And I did that with a partner of mine. And so that started as a very small concept. And I thought, we'll work hard for 10 years and then, retire and go and do other things. Well, what I learned is that when you start a business, first of all, the learning curve, the time that you put in, the energy, the focus, again, the learning that you need to acquire, because I was all self-taught. The business that we started, had nothing to do with my education, but it had to do with something I loved, and that was artwork. And when I was a young girl, I never dreamed for a moment that I could support myself, and, buy a home ultimately based on doing artwork and playing with ink and printing and talking to people and creating designs. in the 70s. I never dreamed that when I was in high school loving artwork. I thought this is just something I like to do. And that's where I think a lot of entrepreneurs maybe fail, is that yes, you think about what the public needs, what your clients need, and then you fill a need. But there's doing that, and then there's also unifying that with what your soul, your heart thrives when it does in service. So I think an important thing for an entrepreneur to do is to merge those two together, and that's where you'll find more pleasure in what you do. But ultimately, I think the biggest challenge was for us timing. You sang a song at the beginning, or spoke with the Quran about timing. Life to me is all about timing. It's about the opportunities that come that sometimes are fleeting, and if you don't grab them because you're afraid or too cautious, then you lose those opportunities. So an opportunity, or the challenge that we had in business, where we tried to pivot a number of times from renting the space that we had, and we went from 1,500 square feet to 2,500 square feet to 5,000 square feet. And we were in that 5,000 square feet about 5 years into the business. And then the business grew, it expanded. We were doing well as a small business, and we wanted to stay a small business, a small staff. And we just bought machines so we could scale up versus getting any bigger than that, because the costs in Toronto of something like that, or let me tell you, it's crazy what you end up paying. What I paid over 30 years for rent or leasing is crazy. But we could never seem to shift into a time. We would have, money put aside, a good chunk of money. We had other property that we could extract monies from, but we could never find the perfect unit, the perfect building, or just one. We needed a certain shape, a certain size, a certain area, and we couldn't find it. When one was available, we had the funds, we could not get out of a lease. And the one thing that I would change if I could go back is I would have broken that lease, or would have paid, even if it was $50,000 over time to pay back the landlord if we had to. I would have done that, because what we lost by not taking that extra chance and just going for it, we knew what we wanted to do, and yet fear held us back. Because right now, when we sold the business a year ago, it would have been worth at least 10 times the amount, because we were selling, the operation tools, right? We didn't have a building to sell. We were selling the client list and these types of things, assets, but we didn't have a bill. If we had a building, oh my goodness. So you know what, when you get that intuition that you want to go for something, sometimes the timing's not right, but sometimes you need to make the timing. So you do something and an effect, or causing an effect, making it work, and knowing the distinction between the two by tapping in. And I knew we should have bought that building, and yet fear, an outside entity, came in and influenced that decision, and that's had an impact on my life currently. Though I wouldn't change anything. It's given me the opportunity to build what I have now in private practice. And just this week alone, I've had 6 people contact me for either psychotherapy or for the coaching, because there's a fine line in some senses between the two. When you need the extra push and the extra drive and support, often that goes into the coaching stream, where you're going to talk about your past, you're going to go into your false beliefs and go deeply into what is affecting your outcome now. That is psychotherapy, and that's mind, body, spirit. That's why I call it spiritual psychotherapy.
Deb, can you share with me, Deb, in your course of doing a business, now there's something called intuition. You touch on the word intuition. Do you believe it's something called a vision? Vision meaning that if you see something, you know how things could have been better, or could have been more resourceful at that particular point of time. Have you ever experienced that vision moment? As Mariah Carey would say, a vision of love. I mean, like, if I look at Dave, I know many, not one, but there'll be many who look at Dave and they see the vision of love. He's King David.
Well, one of the reasons why, Dave and I have the connection that we do is based on vision. The book that I'm currently writing right now is called My Secret Life: A Spiritual Tapestry. And as a very young child, I had visions.
Ah,
And
interesting.
those
What visions do you have?
the very first vision that I ever had, I was 10 years old and I was sound asleep. And I will say, my soul, entity, spirit, whatever term you want to use, that unconscious place in me was extracted up into the air, hovering as an energy source, as 100% as a frequency.
Right?
And I was in front of a source of incredible calmness, yet power. And that entity, whatever you want to call that, whatever your religious belief is, it's whatever that great power is within you. And if you're an atheist, it's still that source of knowledge within and that wisdom. So that I was hovering above and I was shown a scene. And that scene, I can see it. I just close my eyes, I see it so clearly. There was water, there was a shoreline around, it was a lake. I could see the trees and I could see the sky above, and I could see a vision in the like a pattern of clouds in that sky. And the message that was delivered to me in that moment is to stay clear, be good. You have important things to do in the future. And it terrified me, though it was very calming. And it was a vision. It was not a dream. It was more awakened than this moment here.
Right.
So that always stayed in my mind. That meant that I never consumed alcohol. I didn't drink. I didn't swear, say a cuss word for many, 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 many years. I began reading the Bible. I came up from sort of a Christian background, and the Bible was there, and I was terrified by this source. So, the chapter in my book is that you, God? When I talk about that moment. So that vision, in terms of your question, that vision stayed in my mind, and I didn't know what it meant, where it was, or where I was going in my life. But I knew what I needed to do, or I was instructed to do, in order to achieve that result. So again, a cause effect versus causing an effect. So when I was 42 years old, I was in Calgary at a personal growth workshop where I was supporting and helping my martial arts master. Actually, he had brought me in to hold sacred space with a group of people. And I was up very early. There's a time change when you go out to Calgary. So I was up very early and I went walking down the pathway where the cars came in. And then I saw this little opening and I had my eskrima sticks. Normally I would never go down that type of a pathway, but it was light and beautiful. And I had the sticks and I thought, just dare, what's the worst? It's an animal that's coming to get me. I went down that path, gentlemen, and I started to see an opening. There's a canopy. I wrote a song about that vision actually. And I walked down and there was a dock over the water and the boards were broken. So my head was down and I was watching my step because I didn't want to end up in the cold water at 6 a.m. in the morning. And I put my sticks down and I sat down. And when I looked up, it was the vision. It was the vision from childhood. And I just got goosebumps now thinking about that vision, because what that meant to me was I was on the right path. I was here supporting people in this beautiful form. It was called Wizard Camp. And I knew that I had all those years, so 32 years from that vision, that I was seeing it. I was in the place exactly where I was supposed to be, and I needed to really start to pay attention. And that's when I really, really, truly, I believe, consciously started on Deb's journey of self-discovery and the, what's between the leaves when you look up, all that space of opportunity and to build character and to serve people. And in that moment, that vision, again, shifted me like, I just got to keep on going, follow my heart, the mind-heart coherence, really pay attention to where I'm drawn. So in that moment, it was shortly after that, then I started traveling. I was in Indonesia, I went to Singapore, I was in Texas, and I was in California, and I went to Vancouver, and I went to New York City, and I went to China, and I went to Japan, and I was going everywhere where it resonated between my heart and my mind. And ultimately, I knew that if I followed that intuition and gave myself that private, quiet time through meditation and contemplation, then I would come to the right place. And that's exactly what happened for what Dave and I are doing on Tuesday evenings here, called Pray Love. I had a vision for Pray Love last fall, and it came to me. I saw a heart, and the word pray, whatever that means to you, that came to my mind. And I knew that those two, again, are merging. And then my vision is, it's coming true. And I just have to keep being authentic. And, we talk about David's quirkiness, like, be that person, be that joy, and you will draw the right people in. I don't want to be like narrow and straight and always doing the status quo, because those people are going to be not the people that I think I can serve the best. So that's my take on visions, and certainly in terms of entrepreneurship. Yeah, the vision a long time ago was to be some type of a counselor and to hold space for people. And that vision has, again, come around and full circle. And I'm so excited to see where that goes and how I can serve people and how I can also learn from the people that come to me, because that's the greatest gift that a teacher has, is the opportunity to learn from other people and integrate that knowledge into our day-to-day existence.
Fantastic sharing, Deb. Fantastic sharing. What I'm getting, the experience I'm getting in the moment is that when you are fueled by your vision, then actually your energy is limitless.
Oh, sure, for sure. If
Your
you're
energy will be limitless because you are fueled not by you are fueled by your inner core. It's no longer it's not from the food, it's not from the air that you breathe. It's from the inner core that is feeding, that is giving, that is energizing the whole system, the whole works. Wow. What about you, Dave? You've had any visions in business?
Well, we share visions. I think that's one of the things that in most of the businesses that I'm involved with is that there is a sharing of vision. What is the vision? And a big part of that is it has to have a purpose bigger than an individual. And so when we started getting involved with social entrepreneurship, and one company that I'll do a shout out to, because I just absolutely love that they've infused many of the practices of visionary entrepreneurship, and that's Buy One, Give One, or be1giveone.com. And they became an enterprise that helped businesses give back, because most entrepreneurs that Deb and I have resonated with over the years, including yourself, is that we want to make a difference. So in legal practice, you want to make a difference. And so now what you're doing is you're teaching as part of your practice. So it allows you to infuse the left side of your brain, the technical legal component, and then the right side, or your heart chakra, which is the caring and compassion. And you're able to intertwine it. And that might be a winning strategy for you. Yet we had a resort, and the idea with this resort was we would take some of the money and give it to a foundation that would give cataract surgery to blind Balinese. And so you would go to this resort for your massage and your relaxing so that you would get clarity of your vision. Yet then we would take some of that money and give it to a charity that gave cataract surgery so blind Balinese could see, get vision, give vision. So that's an example of the way that I like to infuse that into any business, because what I do find is that entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, are the change agent on this planet. And if we do more of this, we will be being a big part of the transitioning of the education system on the planet, the transitioning of the way that we nurture Mother Earth, the transitioning of the way that we have communication between human beings, the way we serve, the way we care, the way we build communities. And so if you're asking if I have a vision, yes, that's a short articulation of the vision with an example of one of the companies that took that little seed And whether it's the orange seed or the rambutan seed or the mikan seed, and grew this beautiful tree in an orchard that now goes around the world and has organized, collaborated in over 200 million gifts of giving. That's not something I could do myself. I can share the vision and then invite somebody to infuse it into their ethos, pivot a little bit, perhaps create new partnerships or strategic alliances so that it becomes beyond any individual. And that's what entrepreneurship's about, as opposed to most people who get stuck in entrepreneurship, where it just is really a solo entrepreneur venture where a person's doing 3 or 4 jobs and it isn't really effectively able to build a team so the business can run without them.
Exactly, because in BNI, what I've been taught partly is in business, it's always 3L. You can either get lost, you can either become lazy, or you can become lonely. But I could see that in your model of business, the more you give in, the more you get. The more you give in, the more you give, the more fuel you become, and it becomes sustainable, and it becomes very much interactional, in the sense that money is not the motivation, but money is not only the motivation, and the motivation can come from helping people. Wow, that's so deep, bro. It's so deep. I like it. Now, back to you, Dave. Now, you appear to be a lifelong learner. What motivates you to continually study? And I've heard the word student of grief, student of youth, student. Yep. What drives you?
Is it driving me? I'm wondering whether it's that now or whether it's drawing me. And drawing as opposed to driving. See, this is the thing. When I was 20, I was driven. And I left Canada, I went to Japan, I became a banker, and then I became a trader. And I was driven. I was driven to be successful. I was driven to make money. I was driven. And that almost drove me to committing suicide. Okay? So that was my 27 to 30 journey. Now I believe I'm trusting more, having faith more, and being guided. Coming back to Canada after 33 years, having a good, great, amazing life in Asia, to be a caregiver. I'm not driven to do that. I've been drawn to do that. I've been gifted to do that. I have been finding it to be incredibly revealing and enlightening and just mind-boggling. It goes outside of the mind of possibilities. Yet I also have to let go of the way I was a driven 20-year-old, and today I'm a present caregiver. And it's funny because on one hand you were sort of joking that, I'm going to actually be up there in about an hour doing the dishes, because that's what I do now, and I love it. I love doing the dishes. I love the feeling of the water on. And for 30 years living in Asia, as you know, you have helpers doing most of the chores. The chores, I'll be out cutting the grass a little bit later. These are things that are such a blessing to be able to do, especially since I guess I've never had to do it for the last 30 years. So I'm actually finding it to be really wonderful. And so driving me now, no, I would say drawing me, allowing me to go step by step. There's an element of faith. There's an element of prayer. There's also an element of letting go of things that I believe. Letting go of beliefs. Quite a fascinating challenge. And it's a stepping into vulnerability to actually let go of things that I have convictions about or beliefs about. And so when I speak with people today, especially if I'm talking to a 20-year-old about their future, it's not about me telling them what their future is. They're actually, if I can ask some questions, I can help them get clarity of what their future is, not a repeat of my future or my past. And that is, again, it gives me goosebumps because it's such a mind shift. As a parent, I'm not telling my son what to do. No, he is turning to be a 20-year-old. He knows what's his path better than me trying to tell him what I did which doesn't serve him. It just creates confusion and chaos. And so that's, again, a humbling experience, because I think most parents want to tell their kids what to do. Well, in the parenting that we're coaching and we're teaching and we're sharing, no, it's about the parents being confident enough that they can guide through questioning, as opposed to prescriptive, that they know what's better for their kids. You can't even operate your mobile phone, and you're telling these kids who are in a 5G world that you know better. Give me a break, folks. Engage them. Play with them. You'll learn something. And so, folks, that's one of my tips for today. If you think you know better than your kids about technology, take a back seat, take a piece of humble pie, infuse a little curiosity, and you'll probably learn a heck of a lot. And if you're willing to let go of all the rules that you were raised with, you'll probably have a lot more fun. Ooh, yeah. I'm glad that one came out today, Deb, because that's a pretty cool thing, right?
Yeah, I totally agree to your idea, Dave. I totally agree, because that's one thing that I learned from the MCO. That we have movement control order in Malaysia. We call it the MCO. Being with the kids, I'm the kind of lawyer that that I go out before the sun rise and I come back after the sun sets. So being in the house with the children, actually I learned a lot of things from them, and I learned that I learned about being humorous, patience, and being unassumptive when dealing with children, because they're innocent. They're not like adults. They don't have any agenda, and sometimes what they do may be different from what their intention is, but the goodness is there. That's the beauty of having the children around. And back to your question, Dave, to the question about washing dishes. Do you find it therapeutic?
Absolutely, I love it, and I'm actually confident to say it's one of the tasks that I've become pretty good at.
Okay, because for me, when I wash dishes,
it's very soothing on my hands. It's so nice. It's just such a cleansing feeling. It's like, so I just, yeah. And my mom actually freaks out because she goes,
"Come on over. I've got some in the sink for you."
I will. The funny thing is, Deb, you know that if I do, I come over, I'll have my bottle of wine and I'll do the dishes, and I'll find a way to make it fun. I think that's one of the funny things.
That's the key, right? And that's what I was going to say. Is you're saying that it's not doing that task, it's being inspired. What about that task can you link to something that you're inspired to? And when you're talking about the heat and the warmth, your hands in the water, I love water. I'm a Pisces. I absolutely, I link part of my joy when I'm cycling. I go, riding along the stream in the water. I'm drawn to the water. I'm drawn to the ocean, to the lake. But I never, until just now, until you said it, I hate doing dishes. You want that word? I'm entitled to dislike some things, right? My dishwasher is broken, and I'm frustrated, and I could be doing something else. And when you say that, it's reminding me again, it's our perception of the tasks that, we are in control of. We're in control of the words that we formulate in our mind, the way we think, the way we feel about something. So when I go and do the dishes today, I'm going to pause with that. I'm going to link it to my passion and love for the water, and also the appreciation. We turn on a tap here and we have water. And there are a lot of places around the world that simply do not have that luxury. So I'm going to link it. And you ask me in a week, humor, in a week, you ask me if I have linked the action of dishwashing into the love of water, and to the appreciation of water and gratitude. And if I can find gratitude come into that place in my heart where I feel grateful about something, then I should be inspired to do it, as opposed to trying to motivate myself to do dishes. Because when you talk about that being drawn to something, versus being, dragged or pushed or whatever, like that different kind of friction, my whole thing in terms of, especially in coaching and psychotherapy, is that if you're inspired to do something, what is it you truly love to do, or you love to do as a child, that somebody said, you're not a good drawer, so don't draw, or they shamed you, so you eliminated that. So now you have to turn around and be motivated to do something, as opposed to come from a place of inspiration. So that all came out of dishwashing, and there you go, you're drawing. I love it.
That's what, again, this last week that we've been talking about. It's just been every day I'm just doing different types of drawing, and I'm allowing myself to the inner child to come out and play, and even like drawing things that I would never draw this type of stuff in the past. And so there's a playfulness, there's a choice, there's a game. And I guess this one's just everybody is ultimate reality. And it's just allowing different colors to come out and play. And these are things that, my dear friend, you're doing it through singing. Amir, that's one of the gifts you have, the laughter. I'm really looking forward to release some of that with Deb, with some of the music that we might be bringing in, some healing harmonics and even just some symbols. It could just be some drumming or some vibrational triangles. I'm just thinking even just the Tibetan bells. These are all wonderful ways to allow people to have a reset, and then a reconnection, and then a reinvention. And that's what's drawing me these days, Amir, as opposed to driving me.
Wait, how do you spell that? Drawing? D-R?
Drawing. D-R-A-W-I-N-G.
D-R?
It's like D-R-A-W-I-N-G.
Oh, drawing. Okay, because right. Okay. Got it.
But it has multiple meanings. So drawing, it can be like sketching, doodling. Drawing can be bringing out. So drawing water.
Oh, okay. Oh, to draw. Okay, understood. Okay. Interesting. Now, for me, if I may share, washing dishes, especially 4 o'clock in the morning, actually gives me $1 million ideas, because I'm also a water person. I'm attracted to water, swimming pools. That's where I get my ideas, actually. So yeah, very interesting. Now, the next question goes to Deb. Now, okay, this is slightly a deep, not really that deep, but okay, let's just go ahead with it. If you're a time traveler, okay, what guidance would you give to your 10-year-old self?
Wow, you must be going, somewhere into the other field to ask me these questions.
No, it's Back to the Future. Inspired by Back to the Future. It's a question from Dave.
I believe that all time is layered. So time travel is simply deciding to be in another place, choosing a different energy that we want to capture, and we travel. And if I go back to my 10-year-old self, and I've actually done this, Amir, the crazy thing is you're asking me a question that I have already done. So I can answer that with, all accuracy. So when I go back to my 10-year-old self, first and foremost, I comfort her. And I say, Debbie, because I was called Debbie when I was 10 years old, and my family will still call me Debbie. And my old friends called me Debbie. Debbie, you're going to be okay. You're going to be safe. It's going to take you some time to learn, to discover, to fall, to get up. Chinese saying, fall 7 times, get up 8 times. Be patient with yourself. Trust that the right people will come along into your life at the right time. And watch for those guardian angels that come along. When I was very young, I had 3 significant people that came in my life that you talk about shift, change, pivot. They changed the trajectory of my life. And the first one was when I was 14, 15 years old, and that was a teacher. And that's why it's so powerful to be a teacher. The impact that we have on other people, we never truly will know or understand or appreciate the impact that we have. That teacher, I was quiet. I wouldn't never put up my hand all the way. Starting probably in around grade 7 or 8, high school, university, I never raised my hand. Never raised my hand. This teacher selected me because he saw something in me at that time. And he put me in not one play, but 2 plays at that school where they were in front of the school. And one was going into a penitentiary, a women's penitentiary in Kingston, where I grew up. And I had the lead role in both of those. And he pushed me into being what was called the Blue House leader of the school, where I had to get up in front of other kids and, vote for me, be the politician and write something and say that to the whole school to vote for me. So I would say to that young person, one step at a time, watch for those people, and then be that inspiration. Run your life in a way so that you're proud of your accomplishments and that you don't see failure as something that is a loss. It's a gain. It's an opportunity to grow, lift, shift, pivot, surround yourself with other people and other opportunities. So I would just say to her, you're perfect the way you are. You have all the characteristics and all the qualities within you right now, and it's your choice to develop those, to grow those, to share those. Be a jack of all trades, and then start to narrow down what it is you truly love, and you'll find that just osmosis, it's going to arrive. Don't listen so much to the criticism in the sense of it being negative. Listen to the criticism as an opportunity to either grow in a different way, be better at what you're doing, or just look at that person and say, they must have had a tough experience, so that's why they're miserable or unhappy, right? But continual growth, continual sharing, pivoting. Like David, we're on here. Like, who knew 2 weeks ago that I would be talking to somebody, such a beautiful man from Malaysia, a singing lawyer, for crying out loud. I didn't even know one existed. And yet we come on here and you sing and you laugh and you giggle like a child. And that's just joy. An adult giggling like a child is joy. And we all need a little bit more joy in our life. So I would tell that little girl just to be patient. And she's going to be surprised, because where she actually thought she was going in life, the life that she thought she was going to have at 10 years old, that was a default mechanism from where I grew up and expectations of other people. Where I am right now is because I exactly want to be here at this time. And if there's something that's not perfect right now, it's part of the learning and part of the shifting. And then I get the choice to be whatever I want to be.
Fantastic.
And there's one of your babies. Hi.
Say hello. Hi
Wow,
there.
what a lovely little girl.
Hi there. Wow.
Hello, Angel.
What a beautiful girl. You have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're
The inspiration for Aladdin.
You're a very, very far way away from where we are.
Canada, see?
Oh.
They're from Canada.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Bye.
Bye.
And now you have friends in Canada.
She's kissing me good night. Okay.
You're a blessed man, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, Deb, what the inspiration I'm getting from the conversation with you is that life is like being thrown in the water. The more I struggle, the more drowning I'll be. But if I just relax, I will just float and not drown. I think that's the feeling that I'm getting, having this conversation with you. It's all about going with the flow. Yep.
Yeah, surrender, so we can set the sail, and propel ourselves in different directions. I learned the greatest lesson, in terms of that, and I'm aware of that, in terms of swimming and flowing. I learned that actually we were in Bali, and there was a little mishap on the water where people went into the water. I did not. I followed my intuition and stayed on the shore. But people went in the water and they were pulled out in the current, and we very easily could have lost 3 lives that day. And I think it was just sheer luck and some quick thinking that saved those lives. And the people that went out and saved them, they understood the water and how to swim in the water and the power of the water, and yet the grace of the water in terms of buoyancy as well. And the people that were struggling in the water were the ones that were being taken away with the water. And I think the greatest gift that we can give ourselves is to pause, to really pause, and to allow ourselves, like you said, that word flow is just flow. If there's resistance showing up in your life all the time, well, that's a symptom of you're not following your path, your true path, your authenticity. Resistance, depression, anxiety, physical ailments, there are all indicators that you're not in your flow. And whether it's, past history, things that you haven't discovered subconsciously, consciously, there are things there that are disrupting that that natural joy and just that love of life. So yeah, be Bruce Lee, flow, we flow, you
Go with the
flow.
flow.
The water, become the water. The water you put in a teacup, the water becomes the teacup, right? So I love that analogy that you said.
Wow,
It's
fantastic.
interesting because what I hear when Deb's sharing there is some people think flow just sort of means sit there and do nothing. See, Deb is very active. So when she goes out for those 50 or 100-kilometer bike rides, my image is she's just not sitting on the bike and expecting the bike to go. No, she knows that she's going for a experience where she's tapping into energy. She's bringing in a being of movement. And so, yes, she will find some wind and she will be present to it. So many people have this illusion that you're in the flow, that you just sit there and you're being a guru on a rock. No, it's about being fully in there, doing your full energy and release, and to breathe and to power and to drive. And that's part of it. So that's the funny thing, that I think when we're talking about even rowing and ebbs and flows, and there's activity, yet there's also presence to release. And so that's, again, a bit of that dance that I'm referring to. It can be 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and then you'll make your way all around the room. And so there's many metaphors that we can use, yet often there is an element that we do put energy and effort into achieving a certain target, yet it isn't necessarily feeling that the ultimate is just getting at the target. It's the process, it's the steps, it's the hearing the water run next to your bike, it's admiring the sun. If you get a sun rain, it's relishing in that sun rain. It's noticing the rainbow. There's so much richness to it when you're truly engaged, as opposed to, oh man, I'm going to do this bike ride. It's going to hurt me so much. Oh boy, it sucks. Like, that's how people go to work these days. And so the person who's asking the question is, what if the market is not ready for your product and service? Well, again, get into that depth of talking to your customers, pivoting, finding, and being so curious about ways of potentially shifting the branding or shifting the titling, and allow yourself to grow with the market. Be a market leader at times, yet also find the flow of where the customers' dollars are going, or the contracts are going, or the communications going. So it takes, for me, a lot of that constant, or that ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of communication. And so the funny thing about this question about, are you early to the market? I was sharing with Deb that when we came out with a book that was based on spiritual entrepreneurship in 2014. It seemed to be a little ahead of its time. And then today with Deb, when she's talking about spiritual therapy, I find that there's a fascinating ebb and flow to that word, and whether people really want to have a conversation about spiritual entrepreneurship or spiritual therapy or spiritual living, and what does that really mean. And I think that's the part that I love about working collaboratively with Deb, is also we're curious on what people's definition of it is, and that's what we'll be looking to have, those type of conversations also.
Questions. How many books have both of you written, between both of you?
Well, I've written 2 books. My first book is What Is Your Teenage Daughter Afraid Of? And the second book is called Unlock the Door. And like I said, the third one is In My Secret Life, A Spiritual Tapestry. And I've also written chapters for 3 books, 3 compilation books as well, that I was asked to participate in.
Which I think one of them was The Wealth Garden, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes. So we are part of a book about the Wealth Garden, where we talked about the way that the garden can be laid out in different ways, that we're all part of the garden of Mother Earth. And so there's an element there that, again, might pop up again, because I love your metaphor of asking which fruit. I didn't notice that in the notes, actually, but it was a nice metaphor to bring into the conversation today.
Okay, and Dave, how many books have you written, Dave, on your part?
I believe, I've done books, which I believe there's 3 or 4, and then there's these video programs and audio programs, and the most one that I'm really pleased about right now is on Udemy, and it was actually a compilation of Entrepreneur X Factor, yet it's done with videos, and there's like 19 videos, and it's called Inspiring Entrepreneurship. And Inspiring Entrepreneurship, it's very interactive, and if somebody really wants to go through the journey, because there is a journey in entrepreneurship, and in this journey, we talked about the scale of success, and there is a rhythm to business. And sometimes most people get their head banging against the wall, and that's the only rhythm they have is pain, 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 pain. Whereas with you, it's this beautiful tapestry. I love that word. It's about 3 people have been using it with me lately, and there's just a beautiful. Canada's about being a mosaic where we infuse different cultures, and we look to honor it, and we look to exchange, communicate, encourage. And then one of the greatest things we do here, which is similar to Singapore and Malaysia, is we eat together, and we love different foods from all around the world. And whether that's fruits and vegetables or different types of ethnic food, it is a place that has fostered that lifestyle. And it's something I feel really, again, privileged to be here, honored to have this passport of the Canadian passport, which has allowed travel to be something that's enjoyed immensely.
Wow, fantastic, Dave, fantastic. Now, how has your business pivoted lately? I mean, for the past, say about with the coronavirus, did you pivot much? Did you pivot a lot in your business?
Was that a question for me?
Yeah.
In terms of my business, yes. So the private practice, I was seeing people one-on-one, again, either through the spiritual psychotherapy or through coaching. I work with people with wanting to write a book. Actually, when you're talking about writing, I love all about stories, right? So I'm listening to stories all the time. So I love to help people share their stories as well. So what happened for me is that I was seeing people. I have a home office, so I was seeing people here, and then I also have a location in the city in Toronto, which I live in Brampton. So it's about a 30-minute commute, and I have a source of where I'm seeing people. An opportunity for, a culture that already has a group of people there, and I go in there and I work with them. So when COVID happened, I remember the last day I was there was March the 13th, and that facility was closing up. I had just geared up and I had 12 new clients, which for psychotherapy practice, that was amazing, like all new, all at the same time. And I was so excited having just worked with these people for about a month. And then what it meant was, see, in the back of my mind, I wanted to create an online business where I could travel wherever I wanted, but I hadn't done that. I was seeing people in private, right? But in my mind, I had said previously, oh, I want to create it, and I knew how I wanted to do it, and yet I didn't do it. I got caught up. I got to see them here, there, And so what happened was I had to go online, and I wasn't using a video platform online at the time, other than through Facebook or something like that. But for psychotherapy, you have to have a higher level of security and whatnot, and you want to be on something pretty private and secure. So I had to flip everything to online platforms. I had to research the different types of platforms. I had to learn the platform because I wasn't utilizing them. And I also teach. So I teach at the Transformational Arts College where I went to school, and I had it coming up where I was going to have to teach. And I put people into breakout groups and all kinds of things. So I needed to know that. So I spent hours and hours and hours, and ultimately ended up teaching my peers how to use the platforms. So yeah, I pivoted really quickly, and I ended up now, it's like, I don't want to go back. All I have to do is put on a top, turn on the mic, and then my client is right there in front of me. Now, there is something missing, in terms of not having that person right in front of me. But energetically, when we engage, we're connected. Like you said, there's no time, there's no space. There is the present now, and we're connecting. So yeah, it was in some ways a significant change, and in other ways very subtle, but it got me to exactly where I wanted to go. So I know we're not going back anytime soon. And I'm kind of happy about that right now. So it's a great question.
Oh, fantastic. And Dave, did your business pivot during COVID?
Absolutely. It's gone from this technology world, from driving and meeting people and running physical meetups and having networking sessions. And so to be honest with you, it's been a lot of discovery. And I've also chosen to learn video editing and different types of skills that have been a challenge. And yes, it can all be outsourced, yet I also would like to open up the possibilities to do some new things. And so I've been finding opportunities to do more online. I've reached out and contacted friends I haven't seen for 20 years, and we've run some virtual wine o'clock meetings. And it's been truly amazing that guys I went to school in 1986 with, who were all sort of going through retirement, rewirements, or whatever variation of what a 60-year-old does. And it's been truly remarkable to connect with people and also to share what they're doing and what they'd like to do. And most of the folks are going through some pretty major changes in their life. And so it's been, and then writing a couple of books my new book's going to be released between July 7th and July 25th. And that is a Get 2020 Vision edition of Awesome Coaching, which focuses on mental health. And so done a lot of research, and I've interviewed people and got some great insights into assisting people with various mental challenges. And mental wellness is a big thing, particularly I noticed when I came back to Canada.
Wow, fantastic, Dave. Fantastic. As for me, COVID has, I managed to, during COVID, I managed to write one book, and completed, now in the process of editing. And I started from going face-to-face to online. So with my wife's guidance and encouragement, I started to go online, and I started with being a divorce lawyer. I started to comment the story about the world of the married couple. I don't know whether you're familiar with that movie. It's a Korean movie, number 3 in the world. number 3 in the world. And then from there, I started to do FB Live 5 days a week. I don't know which one gave me the hypertension. As you, Dave, as you're aware, I'm supposed to be at the hospital. Okay, and if whatever I say sound a bit loose, I'm actually under medication. So that's my defense.
Well, laughter is probably one of your greatest remedies. So well done, and thank you so much for, again, your choice to be here today. We really thank you for that. And please take care of yourself, nurture yourself. You're a wonderful person, a wonderful father, and we want to have you around for a lot longer. So
Dave, you know what? Dave, you know what? I envy both of you. You actually, the spirit of exploration, the spirit of becoming the explorer, either within yourself and in the outside world, is something which is very, very something that I envy, because most Asians that I meet, this exploration part, putting everything away and starting new is something quite alien to us, especially those who have crossed 40 and above. And I've got somebody here, Angie is from my BNI Ampang. She's saying hi to both of you. She is the jeweler of the chapter.
Beautiful. Thank you,
Hi,
Angie.
Hi, Angie. Okay, right. So coming to the end of our show tonight, I mean, it really breaks my heart because I truly enjoyed both of you. I mean, I had a lot of laughter today. I truly enjoyed one of the best show ever. Okay. Okay, coming to the end of the show today. What's the word shall I say? Conclusion. Now, what do you want our audience to remember tonight from our conversation, what we're having today? May I start with you, Dave? Yeah.
Well, the topic today was business pivots with purpose and passion. And so if there was a takeaway today, it's to explore really inside, what would you like to learn? What would you love to do? That's how I'd like to describe purpose and passion, because many people are running around saying, I don't know what my purpose, I don't know what my passion is. I'm inviting you, go and explore things to learn in the next year and a half. Be a curious explorer of skills and things that you would love to do. And so allow like and love to do, not what other people want to do. Go inside, and if you want to draw, if you look over my shoulder there, I did that drawing with cherry blossoms. I went to a painting class. That was nerve-wracking when I was there, yet it was so releasing. And it's then led into other areas where some confidence, some building up self-esteem of doing things new. And in a new world, which is where we're at, letting go of your high-level CFO, CEO, chairman of the board mentality that you're supposed to be good at everything or great at everything or a 99.5 student at everything. Allow yourself to be lousy and go and explore, because when you first start something new, you're probably not going to be the best on the block. Yet if you really like it, you can develop, and that energy of curiosity infused with activity, infused with joy, will invite, and draw you to the next segment of your life. It's not about what you've been. It's going to be the way we're able to evolve and become. And so that's where my message is today. And that often comes from the hero's journey, which is about going from the known to the unknown. And you're going to have challenges, yet by curiosity, exploring, we come out of the unknown with new special powers, gifts, talents that we then can go back and share with our beloveds, our new friends, because we become reborn.
Wow, reminds me of a song, Dave.
That's great. I love your songs.
And when the hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside and you know you can survive. So when you feel that hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. Cause you finally see the truth that the hero lies in you. King David, our hero for today. And Deb, your parting note that for our audience across the globe, what would your parting words be, Deb?
Thank you. I have to make a comment on your song. You know, if you have hope, you can attain anything. All we need is a little hope. And if you can be the seed to somebody else for hope, that is such a gift that you can give to somebody. So always, offer hope to other people, and you'll do the world a big favor. I guess my parting thought would be that, our perception sets the stage for our life, and the words that cycle in our mind create our reality. And if we're living in the past, worried about the past, or thinking about the future, we're not living in the present moment, and we can be missing out on a lot of opportunities, a lot of gifts in the present. The final thing is, if you think about fear regulates a lot of people's actions. And the way I look at fear is like this. And this is my final thought, because I have a client in 10 minutes. F in fear is focus. And in terms of entrepreneurship or just mental health, whatever it is, if you focus in on what you truly want and let your heart lead you, that focus will take you to on that journey that is going to be one of joy. Typically, you can fail doing something you love, fail doing something you hate. So you might as well fail doing something that you love. So focus in on what you love. The E is the energy. We create our energy. We create the thoughts in our mind. We can choose how we perceive things and what meaning we give to things. So really be aware of the energy that you have and that you're projecting and that you're allowing to come in from other people. We create our attitudes. I can decide whether or not that person is irritating me. That's my choice. It's my attitude. They are behaving as they are. I can open my heart and be expansive, or I can go down and channel in what I don't like. So I control my attitude. The R in fear is respect. Be respectful of myself, my mind, my body, my spirit. Nurture myself along the way. This body is a vehicle. I want to honor this body as I would with something that I cherish, because we should cherish our body. Respect thyself, respect the planet, respect other people's beliefs and values. They don't have to be the same. Respect and honor each other. So that fear is an element that can propel us forward versus the other kind of fear that pulls us down as a ball and chain and an anchor and plants us at the bottom of the ocean rather than being up top and swimming in the direction that we choose, or floating, as we say. But I want to thank you so much for having me on the show. And Dave, thanks for, drawing me in and pulling me along. I did watch one of your other segments. You're doing good work and giving entrepreneurs an opportunity and a stage to speak. And I really appreciate your humor and your joy. And please take care of yourself, whatever that is that's causing that hypertension. Please look for that seed and take care of yourself.
Thanks, Deb. Thank you very much. And guys, in the most positive perspective, your presence is our present today. Thank you so much. And on behalf of our crew, thank you very much for honoring us with your presence. And I hope that we shall meet again. We shall meet again either physically or virtually. And I wish you all the best in what you do. Thank you so much. God bless. God bless Malaysia. God bless Canada. God bless Dave. God bless Deb. And God bless all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Bye.
Bye-bye.